Thom Hartmann here on the news. You need to know this. Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood is demanding Congress comes back from its vacation and passes a clean funding bill for the Federal Aviation Administration. Taking over the White House briefing yesterday, an angry LaHood said to members of Congress, end your vacation for a couple days, get off the beach, get out of your mobile homes or whatever you're traveling in, get back to Washington and pass a bill. The FAA partial shutdown is now on its 13th day, leaving 4,000 FAA workers furloughed and another several thousand FAA safety inspectors working without paid overtime or expenses, and over 70,000 construction workers without a job, as $2.5 billion worth of airport infrastructure projects are on hold without funding. As President Obama pointed out yesterday, Congress has passed a clean FAA bill 20 times since 2007. This time around, Republicans decided to use the routine funding measure to advance their war on unions by slipping in language that makes it harder for federal air and rail workers to unionize, language the Senate isn't willing to pass. Speaker of the House John Boehner pushed back on calls to return to Capitol Hill and get the job done, saying all it will take to end this crisis is for the Senate to pass the House-approved FAA extension. In other words, pass the Republicans' anti-union bill, or tens of thousands of Americans will remain out of work. So here we are in the midst of another Republican hostage scenario that is destroying our economy. Only this time, Republicans can hold 100,000 American workers hostage while sitting by the pool on vacation. People who eat food are screwed. Giant transnational agribusiness corporation Cargill announced yesterday that it's recalling 36 million pounds of contaminated ground turkey that has killed at least one person and sickened 76 others across 26 states. Cargill is just announcing the recall, even though the outbreak started way back in March. Coincidentally, back in June, House Republicans passed legislation that gutted the federal food safety budget, slashing $87 million from the FDA and another $35 million from the USDA's Food and Safety Inspection Program. As Republican Jack Kingston said in defending the bill, the food supply of America is very safe because the private sector polices itself. Right. Go tell that to the family of the person who died or the scores sickened by Cargill's contaminated turkey. Or tell it to the other 50 million Americans who get sick from foodborne illness every year, or the 3,000 other Americans who die every year because of contaminated food. Unlike millionaires and billionaires who fund the Republican Party and push for libertarian legislation that does away with food safety, the rest of us can't afford food tasters or private laboratories to make sure that what we're about to eat is actually safe. In the best of the rest of the news, last year more than 3,000 people were killed along the Mexican border in the city of Juarez. And it turns out over 70% of the firearms used in that violence came from right here in the United States. Illegal guns are pouring across the border, which has prompted the Department of Justice to enact new regulations on gun sellers in border states to ease the violence. But now the NRA is vowing to fight them every step of the way, arguing that the new regulations, which simply require gun sellers to report bulk purchases of guns, are, quote, a blatant attempt by the Obama administration to pursue their gun control agenda through backdoor rulemaking, end quote. Just like they did after the Gabby Giffords shooting in a time of extreme gun violence, the NRA springs into action to push for more guns. I guess where the rest of us see Mexican border violence as tragic, the NRA sees it as good for business. The Minnesota state government may be open for business again after a shutdown a few weeks ago, but the legislators aren't working on new laws. Instead, transnational corporations are. Yep, it's true. Common Cause just released a report that shows a number of bills passing out of the Minnesota state legislature last session, but were actually written by the shadowy nonprofit organization group known as the American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC. The organization, which is funded by the likes of the Koch brothers and Walmart, lets lawmakers sit in secret sessions with the heads of some of the biggest transnational corporations in the world to write or approve corporate-written legislation. Among ALEC's successes in Minnesota alone, legislation that makes it harder for people to vote, legislation that protects corporations from consumer lawsuits, legislation that prevents regulation of greenhouse gases, and legislation that gives tobacco companies tax breaks. So here we have elected lawmakers outsourcing their jobs to corporations. Still don't think the corporatocracy has replaced our democracy? President Obama just threw another bone to the Tea Party. On Tuesday, the White House nominated David Barlow to fill a vacant seat in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Utah. But Barlow is currently the top legal advisor to one of the wackiest Tea Partiers in the Senate, Mike Lee. According to Lee's stance on a number of constitutional issues, one has to wonder if Barlow is fit to serve as a U.S. attorney or even as a civics teacher in middle school. Senator Lee has declared Social Security and Medicare unconstitutional. Child labor laws and food safety regulations are unconstitutional. He's even said disaster relief is unconstitutional. Yet President Obama thinks the legal brain behind these positions would make a great fit as the top attorney in the state of Utah. That would be like hiring one of the nation's biggest job outsourcers to lead up your job creation council. Oh, wait, the president did that too. And finally, Iowa's Republican Governor Terry Branstad loves tax cuts, but only if they're for millionaires, billionaires, and corporations. The Iowa State Legislature passed a tax cut for families making less than $45,000 a year. The governor vetoed it because it didn't also have a tax cut for big corporations in the state and out of state, for that matter, for the Walmarts of the world. And that's the way it is today, Thursday, August 4th, 2011. I'm Thom Hartmann on the news.